I'm Kelly and this is Amy, and today I'm going to show you how to make goat's cheese and grilled pepper canapes and folded tartlets with a hint of Dijon mustard, and Amy's going to show you how to make a quiche. So first of all, I've got 100 grams of plain flour, which I'm going to sieve into this usual bowl. This is just to remove any lumps and to incorporate air into it as well, making it nice and light. Now I've also got some salt here. I'm just going to add a pinch of salt into the flour just to add some flavour. Now you've got that, so you're going to next add in here fat. So I'm using 25 grams of unsalted butter and 25 grams of lard. Using both of these together helps to improve the texture of the pastry. The butter gives it some flavour, and the lard helps to it makes it short, yeah. The lard makes it short. So now I'm just going to rub the fat into the flour. It's important that you keep this mixture cold so that the fat doesn't melt. It's also important to keep it high up so that you're incorporating air into it to make the pastry nice and light. When you're finished doing this, you should end up with a mixture that resembles coarse breadcrumbs. You shouldn't have any lumps of fat left over in the mixture. So as you can see, that's just like breadcrumbs now, nice and fine. So next of all, I'm going to juice 1 lemon. I'm going to add the juice of the lemon into the pastry to give it some extra flavour, just so it's not as plain. So that will remove the seeds. So I'm going to add in the juice of the lemon. I've also got some freshly chopped sage, which I'm also going to add in. These both help to add flavour to the pastry as well as adding some colour to it. So I'm just going to mix that around, evenly distribute that through the pastry. Next I've got some cold water in a jug here. It's important to add the cold water last to prevent the gluten developing, and it's also important for it to be cold so that the fat doesn't melt again. It should be added gradually so that you don't end up with a mixture that's too sticky, because then you'll have a problem rolling it out when it's sticking to the table and the rolling pin and stuff. So just mixing that together with a knife there, trying to bind the ingredients together. A bit more water, still a bit dry. You should end up with a mixture that the bowl is clean, so you've got no ingredients left over stuck in the bowl. You should all be together, ready to roll out. So left now I've got my bowl of dough. This now needs to go into the fridge in a bag as it needs to be chilled. This is important because you don't want it to break up when you're rolling it out and stuff. So that's in there now. Next, I'm going to start to make my filling. So here I've got, this is goat's cheese, and goat's cheese is the same as normal cheese, but it's made with goat's milk rather than cow's milk. Both have about the same fat content, but they differ in other nutritional values. France has actually produced a lot of goat's cheese over the years. And in with the goat's cheese, I'm going to add some grilled peppers. The peppers are good as they contribute towards your 5 a day, so that's quite healthy. They're also good for adding colour to your dish, as they're quite brightly coloured, and they add flavour too. So it's just mixed nicely. So next, here I've got some pastry cases in a bun tin which I prepared earlier. These have been already baked at 200 degrees, gas mark 6. So they're ready for your filling to go into. And I've also got some on a baking tray, and these are going to be folded over to make folded target style ones. So now I've got some Dijon mustard here. Dijon mustard is a French mustard using verjuice and brown mustard seeds. This mustard always used to have to be made in the Dijon region of France, but now it's more a generic term for a mustard which is being made using the Dijon style recipe to make it. So I'm just going to put some of this mustard onto my cases. This is basically just to add some flavour as well as preventing the dish being dry, because pastry as well as goat's cheese are quite dry in ingredients put together. So just get enough on them, not too much that it's going to be too strong because it can overpower the dish, but just enough so you can taste it. So that's that. Next I'm just going to add in the goat's cheese and the pepper filling. So that should just be not too much again, just enough that you'll get a good taste of it and it looks nice. And with these ones, you're putting a bit of the filling in, and then you're next going to fold them over. So you don't want to put too much in, or else your filling's going to come out of it when you fold them. So that's there. So next I've got some cold water in a dish. I'm just going to put some on my finger and put it around the edges of the pastry. This helps to kind of seal the pastry in the oven when they're baking, and prevents the filling coming out of them. And next I'm just going to use a fork. So I'm going to fold over the pastry, and just seal them with the finger, and then do it with a fork around the edge. This again helps to seal them, and as well it makes them look attractive around the edges. So just do that with all of them. So there you can see you've got your folded over tartlets. And these ones here, once you've put your filling into them, you can then, because these can be served hot or cold, so you can either put them back into the oven to heat them up again, or you can just serve them cold. And these ones will need to be baked with the filling in them for 20 minutes at 200 degrees, gas mark 6. And then they again can either be served straight away warm, or they can be served like later on cold on a buffet or anything. These are ideal for a dinner party because they're finger foods and they're quick and easy to make, and they could also be served as an appetizer alongside a meal, because canapés actually means hors d'oeuvres, which basically means outside the work, so outside of a meal, alongside a meal. So that's your finished dish there. And I'm now going to pass you on to Amy. She's going to demonstrate the rolling out prep process of the pastry, which obviously was how I got to this stage. And then I just cut them out, but she's going to line her tin for a quiche.
Hi, my name is Amy, and today I'm going to show you how to make a quiche. Like Ellie said, her dish would be perfect for serving at a dinner party, and my quiche would be perfect as a light starter or even a light main course, or you could even make them into smaller tartlets The most famous quiche is quiche Lorraine, which many consider a classic French dish, but in fact it is a German dish with German origins. And excuse my pronunciation, but it originated from the kingdom of Lotharingen, which was eventually took over by France and then renamed Lorraine. So thus French, the French is quiche Lorraine. And the word quiche even has German origins from the German word Kirchen, which means cake. Historically, a quiche Lorraine was just a custard filling made from eggs and cream with smoked bacon, and later on the cheese was added. Many consider onions to be traditional in a quiche Lorraine, but in fact, by adding onions, you actually have a quiche Alsatian, which is what I'm going to make today. So first of all, you need to roll out your pastry for your base. And this pastry was chilling has been chilling in the fridge for half an hour to let the gluten relax, so that your pastry doesn't shrink when you cook it. And I've just brought it back to room temperature again, so that the fat can soften, so that when you go to roll it out, your pastry doesn't crack and it's easier to handle. So it's important when you're rolling out that you lightly dust your work surface with flour, just so that it doesn't stick, and to dust your rolling pin lightly as well, but not to add too much flour, as it will make the base kind of dry and it won't taste as nice. Now, with pastry, it's, as Kelly mentioned, it's important to keep it cold so that the butter in this doesn't melt and make your pastry soggy. And when you're rolling it out, you should handle it as little as possible, again to stop the gluten developing that will cause further shrinkage when it's cooked. When you're rolling, just roll in one direction, and so just roll forwards, and each time just turn the pastry so that it's not sticking on the bottom, and roll in light, even strokes like this, so that you're not applying too much pressure onto the pastry, which will make it tough. And now, once it is rolled out again, you'll put it back in the fridge to let it relax more, so that when you cook it, it isn't going to shrink. I've added an egg to this pastry, so it is a bit richer, and as with Kelly's, it's half butter, half lard, so it's easier to work with. You want a dough that is soft, but not too wet or sticky, because the more water that's in it, the more water that is in the pastry when you're cooking it, and it can just evaporate and cause more shrinkage. So just keep turning your pastry like this. To keep it cold, if you had a marble slab, that would be nice and cold, and it also will stop it sticking. So I'm going to stick now on one pin, so just flour again. Now, so that is about as thick and as thick as I wanted. So to transfer this to my tin, which I have forgotten, you just roll it up onto the rolling pin like this, so that when you transfer it to the tin, you're not stretching the dough, or you're not accidentally sticking your fingers through it. So you just, if I had a tin, you just roll it up like this and unroll it. But it has to go back in the fridge anyway, and this is one that I have had chilling, so that if it needs to shrink a bit, it will shrink in the fridge and not in the oven. And as you can see, I haven't cut the edges off this so that it can shrink a bit more. So I'm going to cut the edges off it now. It's very cold, so it's easier to cut it off now. You could alternatively just roll the rolling pin over it so that the edges will come down. putting this in your tin, it would be a good idea to get just a ball of dough and just use it to push the pastry into all the crevices here, so that you get good outline of the flute, and that it's in all the corners so that no air is in. Using a ball of dough is better than your fingers, because you might accidentally, if you have sharp nails, maybe stick your fingers in it and cause a hole in the base, which when you put the egg mixture in, it might seep through and cook on the bottom, so you end up it's stuck to the bottom of the tin. And if you're in a hurry and have time to make the pastry or that, you could pre-bake this and just freeze the empty case maybe, and then use it if you need to. And this is a case that I have baked blind already, so with no filling in it. So I've baked it with no baking beans actually. As long as you rest it, it shouldn't rise up. Pricked with the bottom, and then cook it for 10 minutes in a hot oven, and then take it out and seal it with egg wash, just so that that when you put the wet filling in, it won't seep through and make your pastry soggy at the bottom. So now I'm just going to make my filling for my quiche. So into this bowl here, I'm just going to add 200 grams of bacon lardons. I've used smoked bacon because it adds a better flavour, but if you don't like smoked bacon, normal unsmoked is fine. Or if you were having ham for your dinner, you could just use some leftovers if you wanted. And I'm going to add one medium onion, which I have chopped and fried. I've not got too much colour on the onion, so it will stay pretty white. It's just nice and soft, the onions. Now I'm also adding 50 grams of cheddar, just white mature cheddar. It's got good flavour, and most quiches are cheddar based. And I've also got 50 grams here of, excuse my pronunciation again, Gruyere cheese, which is got a lovely oaky, smoky taste, and it also melts well, so it will add more flavour to your quiche. Now I'm going to use 4 eggs. Just crack them into a bowl here, so if you get any shells of that, they're not into your quiche. It's important to use eggs that are room temperature, because they'll incorporate a bit more air and they're easier to beat than eggs that are straight out of the fridge. Now, I'm just going to beat these eggs lightly. You don't have to beat them for long, just until the eggs, just until the yolks and whites are combined. Pour that in there. Now I'm just going to double cream, which will make your quiche very rich. You could alternatively use half cream milk, but I think that this gives it a good flavour, and it's very rich, so if you're possibly on a diet, maybe just a smaller size. But it's worth it in the end. Now I'm just going to mix this up just so it's all combined. Lightly with salt and pepper. You don't need much salt, because your bacon is quite salty as on its own, and your cheese has a little bit of salt in it too. So just mix it up there. Now I'm just going to pour this into my chilled case. This is ready now to go into the oven, but before it goes into the oven, it is a good idea to just pop it onto a baking tray like this. You don't need to line it or anything, just pop it on like this, and this will help conduct heat so that your base cooks evenly, and also when you're lifting it in and out of the oven, it's easier to access. This is going to cook for 40 minutes, But first you need to have the oven very hot, so 200 degrees, so that when you put the pastry in, that the starch grains will burst and absorb the butter as it melts, so that your pastry doesn't end up with a soggy bottom, as they say on Great British Bake Off. And then, if you left the oven at that temperature, your eggs it would be too hot to cook the eggs, and it would end up curdling. So for the first 10 minutes, cook at 200 degrees, so your pastry cooks, and then reduce it down to 190 for a further 20 minutes. And also, when you're reducing the oven temperature, you could take the quiche out and just decorate the top with some sliced tomatoes, and it'll give a bit of colour to the dish. So I'm just going to pop this in the oven now. Now, and this is a quiche that I've prepared earlier, so and it's got the tomatoes on it. So as you can see, the pastry is golden, and the top has got a good brown colour, and the tomatoes provide more colour. It's important just to cook it until that the centre is set, because you don't want to overcook the eggs, because they'll separate and go a bit watery and dry. So that's the end of my slice.
So that's some of the canapes cooked there, as you can see. And here you've got the other kinds, which are just in the canape. So either style are easy to pick up, so will be ideal for a party or anything like that.
So we welcome you to try them later.